Good morning again. I'm back. I don't know if it's good news or bad news, but I'm back. And I didn't get no response on what book we're going to do, so I went ahead and picked the next book we're going to be studying. And that's going to be the Book of Isaiah. Book of Isaiah. So if everyone could open up their books, the Book of Isaiah. Isaiah, sorry. Again, sorry, lack of teeth does not help. And pronunciation. I'm going to read the introduction. Okay. The author is Isaiah. From the date 740 to 680 BC. The prophet, born into influential upper class family, Isaiah rubbed shoulders with royalty and gave advice concerning the foreign affairs of the nation. Though usually scoffed at, he warned vigorously against foreign alliances and urged Judah to trust the Lord. He also attacked the social ills of the day, not because he was a social reformer, but because he saw the abuses as symptoms of spiritual declension. I'm sorry, I know I pronounced that word wrong. After living most of his life in Jerusalem, tradition says that Isaiah was martyred during the reign of Manasseh, which is 696 to 642 BC, by being sawed in two inside a hollow log. The times. Oh man, can you imagine that? Being stuffed into a hollow log and being sawed in half. That sounds awful. The times is during the later half of the 8th century. Judah seemingly was about to follow the example of apostasy of the 10th northern tribes of Israel, who were captured by Assyria in 722 BC. King Ahaz foolishly looked to Assyria for protection, even though Isaiah told him the northern kingdom would shortly fall at the hands of the Assyrians. Hezekiah, Isaiah's God-fearing son, instituted spiritual reform, but sought the help of Egypt in foreign affairs. Egypt fell before Sennacherib of Assyria, Assyria, and only through divine intervention was Judah saved from the same fate. During the reign of Manasseh, idolatrous practices were restrained, and Isaiah warned of the inevitability of the Babylonian. I'm sorry, I'll try that again. During the reign of Manasseh, idolatrous practices were restrained, and Isaiah warned the inevitability of the Babylonian captivity. He also gave assurance of the preservation of the people and restoration of the nation. The composition. Much dispute has arisen over the authorship of chapters 40 through 66. Some assign the entire section to Pharaoh Isaiah, who lived around 540 BC after the Babylonian captivity. Others see a Credo Isaiah, who wrote chapters 56 through 66. Still, others see insertions editing as late as the 1st century BC. A position difficult to maintain in view of the discovery of the Qumran Isaiah scroll dated in the 2nd century BC. These suggestions attempted to eliminate supernatural element necessary for predictive prophecy. Hence, the Babylonian captivity and the return under Persian king, specifically named Cyrus, and not viewed as being predicted 150 years in advance, but as happenings recorded after the events. But even if one were to grant such a conclusion, it would not invalidate predictive prophecy. The name of Hosea was predicted by a prophet 3 centuries before his time in First Kings, in the book of First Kings, chapter 13, verse 2. And Bethlehem was named as the birthplace of Messiah 7 centuries before the event. And you see that in Micah, chapter 5, verse 2. In addition, there is predictive prophecy in chapters 1 through 39 of Isaiah. If Deutero, there we go. Yeah, Deutero Isaiah lives in Babylon, as is claimed. He shows little knowledge of Babylonian geography, but great familiarity with the Palestines. Further, it's asserted that differences in language and style can only be accounted for by assuming different authors. A theory which, if applied to Milton Gough, Shakespeare, would force us to conclude that many of their writings were spurious. On the century, one can point out 40 or 50 sentences and phrases that appear in both sections of the book and that therefore argue for single authorship. To claim 2 more authors for this book is also contradicts the evidence of the New Testament. Questions from chapter 40 through 66 are found in Matthew, chapter 3, verse 3, chapter 12, verses 17 through 21, and Luke, chapter 3, verse 4 through 6, Acts 8:28, Romans chapter 10, verse 16, and verse 20, and all are attributed to Isaiah. Moreover, if John 12, verse 30 through 41, quotations from Isaiah chapter 6, verse 9 through 10, and chapter 53, verse 1 appear together, and both are ascribed to Isaiah who saw the Lord in the temple vision of chapter 6. We must therefore conclude that the same author was responsible for the entire book, and that no part of it was written at the same time as Babylonian captivity. And I apologize because I have very bad, I either speak too fast or have problems pronouncing words because of lack of teeth. So just bear with me the best you can. Okay, I apologize. Now that we got that over with, the introduction, we're going to go to chapter 1. Chapter 1. It only took about 10 minutes, more than I wanted. Okay, chapter 1. Part 1. I don't know if I can pronounce that word. Denunciation. Chapter 1, verse 1 through chapter 39, verse 8. The denunciation of Judah, which is chapter 1, verse 1 through chapter 12, verse 6. Then the condemnation of Judah, chapter 1, verse 1 through chapter 5, verse 30. Superscription, which is reverse chapter 1, verse 1. Okay. The vision of Isaiah, the son of Amoz, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, king of Judah. Uzziah, a good king, also known as Azariah, who reigned from 791 to 740 BC. Jotham was also godly. He reigned from 750 to 736 BC, including a courtesy with Uzziah. Ahaz, a wicked and idolatrous, I guess it's meaning idol worshipping. The word, which I cannot pronounce, this is like, I don't know how many times I've tried pronouncing it, spelled Idolatrous. Idolatrous. The king ruled from 736 to 716 BC. Hezekiah reigned from 716 to 687 BC, promoted religious reform. Okay, now let's move on. Next section is God's indictment, chapter 1, verse 2 through verse 23. Hear, O heavens, and hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and have rebelled against me. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider. Ah, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backwards. Verse 5. Why should ye be stricken any more? Ye will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faint. From the sole of the foot even unto the head there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and purifying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. Your country is desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. Your land, strangers devour it in your presence, and it is desolate, as overthrown by strangers. And the daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in a vineyard, as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. That the Lord of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant, we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah. Verse 10. Hear the word of the Lord, ye rulers of Sodom. Give ear unto the law of our God, ye people of Gomorrah. To what purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices unto me? Said the Lord, I am full of the burnt offerings of rams, and the fat of fed beasts, and I delight not in the blood of bullocks, or of lambs, or of he goats. When ye come to appear before me, who hath required this at your hand, to tread my courts? Bring not for vain oblations. Incense is an bring no more a vain oblations. Incense is an abomination unto me. The new moons and Sabbaths, the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with. It is iniquity, even the solemn meeting. Your new moons and your appointed feasts, my soul hateth. They are a troubled, or they are a trouble unto me. I am weary to bear them. Verse 15. And when ye spread forth your hands, I will hide mine eyes from you. When ye make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. Wash you, make her clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes. Cease to do evil. Learn to do well. Seek judgment. Relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless. Plead for the widow. Come now, and let us reason together, said the Lord. Though your sin be as scarlet, they shall be white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. If ye be willing and obedient, ye shall eat the good of the land. But if ye refuse and rebel, ye shall be devoured with the sword. For the mouth of the Lord has spoken it. How is the faithful city become an harlot? It was full of judgment, righteousness lodged in it, but now is murderous. The silver is become gross, the wine mixed with water. The princes are rebellious, and companions of thieves. Everyone loveth gifts, and followeth after rewards. They judge not the fatherless, neither doeth the cause of the widow come unto them. That was the last verse of this little section. I stopped at verse 23. Now we're going to go back to verse 2. Chapter 1, verse 2 through 4. I'll read that. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider. A sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupted. They have forsaken the Lord, they have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backwards. God's children have turned against the Lord, showing not even a sense of gratitude and ownership that an ox or an ass does. Crib means feeding trout. In verse 4, sinful is from a verb meaning to miss the mark. Israel was a nation that had missed God's goal. Iniquity, a perversion from a verb meaning to bend or twist. Evildoers, from a verb meaning again, I don't know if I can pronounce that word. Putrefy, Putrefy, if you can try to make that out. Lord's indictment, the Lord's indictment of Israel is very specific. Verses 5 and 6. Why should ye be stricken any more? Ye will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faint. From the sole of the foot even unto the head there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and purifying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. The picture is not of a sick man, but rather of one who has been flogged, sore, or better welts. The same word translates stripes. Let's go to verse 7. Your country is desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. Your land, strangers devour it in your presence, and is desolate and overthrown by strangers. In Isaiah's lifetime, Judah was subjected to attacks from Israel, Syria, Edom, the Philistia, and Assyria. Later, she would be captured by I don't know if I can pronounce that. I hate these names. Neb Nebuchadnezzar Nebuchadnezzar is spelled capital N E B R excuse me capital N E B U C H A D N E Z Z A R. Okay. Verse 8. And the daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in a vineyard, as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Quoted in Romans 9:29 in the reference to Christian Jews on the wickedness of Sodom. Let's go to chapter 1, verse 10 through 15 talks about the people's sacrifices, religious festivals, and prayers were shams. God will not repudiating the sacrificial system which he himself has established, but was condemning religious pretense. Okay, let's go to verse 14. Actually, I can go ahead and read 1 through 15 right now, and then we'll go back and cover it. Chapter 1, verse 10 says, Hear the word of the Lord, ye rulers of Sodom, give ears unto the law of our God, ye people of Gomorrah. What purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices unto me? Said the Lord, I am full of the burnt offerings of rams and the fat of fed beasts, and I delight not in the blood of bullocks or of lambs or of he goats. When ye come to appear before me, who hath required this at your hand? To tread my courts? Bring no more vain oblation. Incense is an abomination unto me. The new moon and Sabbath, the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with. It is iniquity, even the solemn meeting. Your new moons and your appointment feasts, my soul hateth. They are the trouble unto me. I am weary to bear them. Verse 14 talks about on Israel's various feasts. Verse 17. Learn to do well, seek judgment, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, plead for the widow. Judge the fatherless. It means better bring justice to the orphan. Verse 18. Come now, and let us reason together, said the Lord. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. Scarlet and crimson were both glaring and color fast. Now we're going to continue on part 3. Section 3. It talks about God's promise of restoration after judgment. This is chapter 1, verse 24 through 31. Verse 24. Therefore saith the Lord of hosts, the mighty one of Israel, I will ease me of mine adversaries, and avenge me of mine enemies. And I will turn my hand upon thee, and purely purge away the dross, and take away all thy kin. And I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterwards those shall be called the city of the righteousness, the faithful city. Zion shall be redeemed with judgment, and her converts with righteousness. And the destruction of the transgressors and of the sinners shall be together, and they that forsake the Lord shall be consumed. For they shall be ashamed of the oak which ye have desired, and ye shall be confounded for the gardens that ye have chosen. For ye shall be as the oak, whose leaf fadeth, and as a garden that hath no water. And the strong shall be as tow, and the maker of it as a spark. And they shall both burn together, and none shall quench them. Verse 29. For they shall be ashamed of the oaks which ye have desired, and ye shall be confounded for the gardens that ye have chosen. Oaks or gardens, likely a reference to the oak groves and the gardens connected with their idolatrous. It's almost like adulterous, but it's idolatrous. There you go. Idolatrous and adulterous heathen worship. Okay, verse 31. And the strong shall be as a tow, and the maker of it as sparks, and they shall both burn together, and none shall quench them. These tow are tinder. Okay, now I'm going to read chapter 2, verses 1 through 4. The word of Isaiah, the son of Amoz, saw the concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways. And we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. Let's go back. Okay, verses 2 through 4 talks about, as in Micah chapter 4, verse 1 through 5, a description of the millennial kingdom. God's government, mountains will be established over all the kingdoms of this world. Gentiles, or nations, and Jews people will do the will of God. Justice and peace will reign. Verse 4, plowshares, the iron tips of plows, for the reverse process. Okay, let's go read on. This next section is called the purging, which is from chapter 2, verse 5 through verse 4:1. So it's going to continue on. We should go a whole lot quicker now. Chapter 2, verse 5. O house of Jacob, come ye, and let us walk in the light of the Lord. Therefore thou hast forsaken thy people and the house of Jacob, because they be replenished from the east, and are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. Their lands also is full of silver and gold, neither is there any end of their treasures. Their land is also full of horses, neither is there any end of their chariots. Their land also is full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made. And the mean man boweth down, and the great man humbleth himself. Therefore forgive them not. Verse 10. Enter into the rock, and hide thee in the dust for fear of the Lord, and for the glory of his majesty. The lofty looks of a man shall be humbled, and the heftiness of men shall be bowed down. and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that way. For the day of the Lord of the hosts shall be upon every one that is proud and lofty, and upon every one that is lifted up, and he shall be brought down, and he shall be brought low. And upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills that are lifted up. Verse 15. And upon every high tower, and upon every fenced wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all pleasant pictures, and the loftiness of men shall be bowed down, and the heftiness of men shall be made low, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that way. And the idols shall utterly abolish, and they shall go into the holes of the rocks, and into the caves of the earth, for fear of the Lord, for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. Verse 10. In that day a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made, each one for himself to worship, to the moles and to the vats, to go into the cleft of the rocks, and into the tops of the ragged rocks, for fear of the Lord, and for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. Verse 22. Cease ye from men, whose breath is in his nostrils. For wherein is he to be accounted of? Now let's go back to verse 5, or excuse me, to verse 6. Replenished, this verse talks about becoming filled with ideas from the east. Soothsayers like the Philistines. And we read 1 Samuel chapter 6 and 2 Kings chapter 1, you'll see what I'm talking about. Chapter 6, it says, Therefore thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob, because they have replenished from the east, and are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. Verse 7. Their land also is full of silver and gold, neither is there any end of their treasures. The land is also full of horses, neither is there any end of their chariots. Judah prospered economically under Uzziah, stockpiling silver and gold. Horses was forbidden for a king. And we can refer to Deuteronomy chapter 17 about that. Let's go to verse 12. For the day of the Lord of the hosts shall be upon every one that is proud and lofty, and upon every one that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. The day of the Lord. The introduction to the book of Joel, which we'll do that in time. A time of God's judgment, referring to Babylon's coming conquest of Judah, and similar to events before the second coming of Christ. Go to verse 16. Upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon the pleasant pitchers. Ships of Tarshish, especially large and seaworthy ships, which carried smelted metal to Tarshish. Tarshish comes from the word meaning to melt or be melted, and might refer to any place that had smelting operations, or to any land that contained mineral deposits, though many identify it with treasures, either the southwest coast of Spain. Objects of art. Let's go to verse 19. And they shall go into the holes of the rock, and into the caves of the earth, for fear of the Lord, and for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. This verse talks of, which was vividly describes the desperate actions of people in the coming tribulation days. Let's go on to chapter 3. Move on to chapter 3, verse 1. For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread, and the whole stay of water, the mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet, and the prudent and the ancient, the captain of 50, and the honorable man, and the counselor, and the cunning artificer, art artificer, there we go, and the eloquent orator. And I will give children to be their princess, and babes shall rule over them. Verse 5. And the people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself and proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this ruin be under thy hand. And the day shall he swear, saying, I will not be an healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. But Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doing are against the Lord, to provoke the eyes of glory. The shew of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Verse 10. Say ye to the righteous that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruits of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with them, for the reward of his hands shall be given him. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. The Lord standeth out to plead, that standeth to judge the people. The Lord will enter into the judgment with the ancient of his people, and the princess thereof, for ye have eaten up the vineyard. The spoil of the poor is in your houses. What mean ye that ye be by the people of peace, and grind the face of the poor? Says the Lord God of hosts. That's verse 15. Verse 16. Moreover, the Lord saith, because of the daughters of Zion are hefty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and menacing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. In that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their calls and their round tires, like the moon. The chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the ledge, and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings. Verse 21. The rings and those jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen and the hoods and the veils, that instead of sweet smell, it shall be stink. And instead of a girdle, instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of well set hair, baldness, and instead of stomacher, a grinding of the sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. And men shall fall by the sword, and they mighty in the war. And the gate shall be, and her gate shall lament, and the mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. Sorry about that. I'm having problems pronouncing some of the words. It's also getting really late. Well, past my bedtime. I'm going to go over chapter 3. Chapter 3, verse 1. It says, For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread, and the whole stay of water. The stay and the staff, both words indicating something one leans on, are taken away through, again, I cannot pronounce the word, Nebuchadnezzar. Verses 2 and 3 of chapter 3 resist. The mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet, the prudent and the ancient, the captain of 50, and the honorable man, and the counselor, and the cunning artificer, and an eloquent orator. Now, I assume that means someone that is good with jewelry and other special artifacts. Though forbidden, the people were relying on soothsayers, which is prudent, and enchanters, or orators, even those who would like to be taken away. Verse 4. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. Children, immature physically. Menace was 12 when he began to reign, and immature in political ability. Okay. Go to verse 7. In that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be an healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. Who will not honor to rule the nation. Verse 16 through 26 talks about the fashionable women seeking to lure other women husbands with their imported luxurious dress will soon be destituted. So we're going to go ahead and, if you can, start dissecting. Okay, verse 16 through 26. Wow, that's a lot. 16 through 26. Moreover, the Lord saith, Because of the daughters of Zion are hefty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. In the day the Lord will take away their bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet. Excuse me, I want to revert verse 18. In that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their calls, and their round tires like a moon, the chains and bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs and the head. I lost myself. Oh, and the headbands, and the tablets and the earrings, the ring and nose jewelry, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles, and the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen, and the hoods, and the veil. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell there shall be, excuse me, and you, it shall come to pass that instead of a sweet smell there shall be a stink, and instead of a girdle a rent, and instead of well set hair, baldness, and instead of the stomacher, a girdling of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Thy man shall fall by the sword, and thy shall might in the war, and her gates shall be lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. Let's go back. We're not going to get very far today, unfortunately. Verse 16 is moreover the Lord saith, because of the that section, verse 16 to 26, talks about the fashionable women seeking to lure other women's husbands with their imported luxurious dress, would soon be destituted. Okay, verse 16, moreover the Lord saith, because of the daughters of Zion are hefty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking in the menacing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Tinkling means with small silver bells on their ankles. Verse 18, in that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their calls and their brown tires there like the moon. In that day, the day of the Lord, they're talking about headbands. Round tires means crescent-shaped ornaments. Let's go to verse 19. The chains and bracelets and mufflers. They're talking about the day of the Lord. On claws. Cowls. Headbands, round tires, crescent-shaped ornaments. Verse 19. The chains and the bracelets and the mufflers. Mufflers means veil. In other words, it means veil. Verse 22. A changeable suit of apparel, and the mantles, and the wimples, and the crimson pins. Wimples, head covering, or crisping pins. Verse 23. The glasses, and the fine linen, and the hoods, and the veils. Glasses means hand mirrors or highly polished metal. Verse 24 means a wrench, better a rope. I'm sorry, I dozed off. Verse 24. I gotta get to bed soon. So I get a little bit of sleep, anyways. Verse 24. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink, and instead of girdle a rent, and instead of well set hair, baldness, and instead of stomacher, a grinding sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. A rant means better a rope. And that will conclude us for today. That's for 15 minutes, so that's for another hour. And we'll cover chapter 4 and possibly chapter 5 tomorrow. And we'll see how far we can get. But now we're going to stop at chapter 4. May God bless us and protect us as we go forth this day and learn what we have learned today in the gospel and apply it to our lives to make us a better Christian. This I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you all. I wish you all a wonderful day. And I'll see you tomorrow, probably throughout the day, because hard for me to sleep. Like I said, I haven't slept in a long time, except yesterday, and I apologize because my body crashed. I have problems sleeping because my blood sugar drops too low, and if it drops too low, I could die. My wife's concerned about that, so she keeps an eye on me, and if my alarm goes off, I wake up, or she wakes me up. If not, she calls an ambulance. So I apologize again if I haven't been. Sorry, I'm acting tired and a little grouchy lately, but I do apologize. I'm trying to be a better Christian, walking with Jesus Christ. So I'll see you again. I'll do another live stream tomorrow morning. It would be Thursday morning, the 19th. But today's the 18th, so you guys have a good day. May God protect you and bless you. See you then. See you tomorrow or throughout the day.